we discussed earlier on that between the equine metabolic syndrome and Cushing's disease are factors in an awful lot of Cushing's cases. An awful lot of laminitis cases. So Cushing's disease, or PPID as it's more correctly termed, what exactly is it? So there's two structures there highlighted on the diagram. The hypothalamus up within the brain, just at the bottom of the brain, and then the pituitary gland, and part of the pituitary gland called the anterior pituitary gland, which we're more interested in for this condition. And the pituitary is part of the brain, it sticks out beneath it, and it receives nerve signals from the hypothalamus that keep it under control. What happens in Cushing's disease is that pituitary gland becomes out of control because these nerve signals from the hypothalamus are lost. And the pars intermedia, which is within the anterior pituitary, starts to dysfunction because it loses its normal nerve supply. And so that's why we call Cushing's disease pituitary pars intermedia dysfunction. And PPID is the more correct veterinary term. Cushing's disease, as vets so often do, was a term that was pinched from the human medicine. Harvey Cushing discovered a similar condition in people, but it's not the same condition. So we should really steer away from that term. But we're going to continue to call it Cushing's disease tonight just because that's what people understand. But it's a dysfunction of the pars intermedia of the pituitary gland. And these diagrams here just show at the top, this is the pituitary gland, and the dark blue section through the centre is the pars intermedia, which is the Latin term for that part of the pituitary gland. And at the top, it's the blue structure there is relatively narrow through the pituitary gland. It's quite a small part of the pituitary gland. But what happens when we lose the nerve supply to the gland is that the nerve supply normally controls what goes on, and with the loss of that control, the pars intermedia just continues to get overactive and continues to increase in size. The cells divide and they produce more and more hormones that quite a number of different hormones, different peptides, different protein products that go around the circulation and have a whole host of different effects. And it's probably important to stress that these nerve fibres from the hypothalamus, we're not quite sure exactly how they become damaged. There's a number of different mechanisms that cause them to become damaged, which are currently being investigated. But it is an ageing change, quite similar to Parkinson's disease in people. As we get older, these nerves do tend to degenerate for various different mechanisms, or as a result of various different mechanisms, and that's why Cushing's disease is associated with ageing, just because these changes progress as we get older. And so much of our body starts to dysfunction as we get older, as some of us regrettably know.